Jen, I'm going to ask you a hard question. You can decide how you're going to answer it. So we've heard time and budget as being issues. Let's talk a little bit about both things from your perspective. What amount of time, when the blog is launched, is it going to take for the three of you to make this work? Mm-hmm. And what would be a reasonable budget? You don't have to tell what you're earning, but what would be a reasonable budget for a company who wants to involve bloggers in the way that you're involved to put to a project like this?
Well, we mapped out, I know how much time it takes me to write certain kinds of posts, and we were very clear about what kind of posts we wanted on the blog. So I made a time budget, essentially, and said, okay, this kind of post probably takes 2 hours to write. This one has a huge community component. We're going to really do a lot of outreach with this. This might take 3, So we came up with that each sister probably needs to spend like 8 to 10 hours a week on this blog. And then in terms of budget, the budget was really important because a lot of times, companies or people will approach bloggers and, they'll say, I've got this great thing. I would love for you to blog about it, write for us. And my first question is, do you want me to write because I love what you're doing so much and it'll be so much fun? Or do you want me to write because you can pay your writers? You know what I mean? And a lot of people try to get things for free, So when we talked about it amongst ourselves as sisters, we wanted to be paid the same rate that we were paid as professional writers, because we all, 2 out of the 3 of us do professional writing. And we thought that if that level of respect was there, that it was a good sign about our relationship with PBS. So I don't feel like it's appropriate to say what that number is, but I think it's comparable to if you're freelancing for a magazine or something like that, or you're a decent hourly rate for writing work. I think it's in that range, and it needs to be because blogging takes time, and writing, not everyone can. You're not just asking for like a post. You're asking for a finely crafted piece that is designed for a specific purpose, and that takes skill and experience, and there needs to be respect for that kind of work, and I'm content with that PBS understands that, and they've been very supportive in those negotiations.
Lynn, you've got expert bloggers who are
Right,
not internal.
and she just made me think of something. Since I launched the expert blogs, even before we launched this site, we had expert blogs. And I've been fighting to pay them. I'm like, how can we not pay these people? Especially the expert bloggers, because they're on, you blog this day every week, your topic is this, you have to be really provocative. With them, there's training, we give them a guideline, all these things. It's different than the other people who can just come on and say, I read this today. This is these are real, writers writing. Yeah. And so I would have to sell them on you're working on this book, right? You're doing this, and here's a way to promote what you're doing, and it didn't feel real, And so now, finally, we're looking for solutions to do rev shares with them, finally, and I'm very happy and excited about that. And BizDev and the whole business side, they were going to go have these meetings by themselves, and my president said, no, Lynn has to go to those meetings with you, because Lynn has to be the voice of the people who need to get paid. I was like, yay, you understand, cool.
Okay, let's talk about it from the other side. Jean, internally, let's say it's July, the site's launched, Jen and her sisters are blogging on it. How much time internally is it going to take, do you foresee, to oversee this project and keep it going?
It will be quite a bit of internal work. I'm actually hiring a community manager. I have been trying to hire someone for the last 3 years because I've been solo. And finally, I was able to convince management that, to really do this right, that we needed to be able to support Jen and Chris and Patience in terms of certainly, from the promotional standpoint, from keeping an eye on what's sort of keeping an ear to the blogosphere, what's going on, so they could have a dialogue with with the sisters. So I expect, and plus we'll probably, because, and we've talked about this, because they're three sisters, and
Yes.
I think they felt more comfortable rather than them having total, in terms of, they wanted sort of a schedule in a way. They felt that that would make it.
In short, we might kill each other
Yeah.
if we had to, do all of that ourselves. So we wanted PBS to impose a certain amount of structure on us so that we didn't have to work out our family issues every single time we had to make a decision. So,
Right.
which would happen with anybody in a family, right, when you're working in a business. So, and we were really grateful that PBS was willing to provide that structure because we really needed it.
Yeah. So this community manager will be a big part of his or her job, and actually it'll be a her. But I mean, in addition to that, the other goal of it was just to be able to spend time out in the blogosphere and see what people are talking about, what conversations are going on, because they'll be bringing in conversations, if they're posting about the only real kind of sort of overarching structure in terms of a topic is that they'll be using their sort of experiences with their children primarily in the area of child development, what developmental stages they're going through, because child development is probably the most trafficked area on the site, and it's the topic that we get a lot of questions on. I mean, obviously it's something that, parents, they worry about, they like to brag about, they like to talk about, and so basically they'll be using, what's going on in their lives with their children's development as kind of a launching off point, but then also bringing in, if there are people blogging out there about what they're blogging about, bringing in their conversations, bringing in other resources, so it's kind of a rich resource for parents.